going to apply some Jamberry Wraps to my nails. I have done some prep already. I've got rid of the invisible cuticle as well as my actual cuticles with some cuticle gel, which you can also get from Jamberry. And I've moisturised and done all those sorts of things. So nail prep's really important if you want your jams to last. I'm going to use this wrap, which is called Laced Up. This is a full sheet, so the full sheet actually gets you quite a few sets, so we're just going to do one mani, which I can get from one half, and then there's usually a petty left as well. So you can literally just cut it in half and use the other half another time, which I have cut, and here's one that I prepared earlier. One of the big things with your wraps is you need to know what sizes fit your nails. So it's really important to wrap your nails and not have it touching the skin. So you might need to trim a wrap if you have a funny shaped nail. I'm really lucky, I know exactly which numbers I need. I use 2, 4, 5, 6 and 7, so I know which ones I use all the time, and then I save the rest for a petty. Basically that one does my big toe, and then one of the smaller ones does all the other toes. So they're really good. You get 4 in a whole sheet, so that's really handy. We've got the Jamberry heater, which is really helpful, but you can use a hairdryer if you don't have a heater. The buffer block's really important. I use 2 types of nail files because I'm fussy, some scissors, the cuticle push is really handy, some alcohol swabs, and an orange stick. So first up, I need to prep my nails. I'm going to start with my left hand. And basically, you just need to have your alcohol. So you buffer up your nail first, which just, I don't know, gets it ready, roughs it up, makes it stick better, smooths it out. I'm not quite sure why, but I just know it works. So that's what I do. And then you just wipe it. So your alcohol swab's the most important part because it gets rid of any oil. And if you have oily nails, and like I've just moisturised these probably an hour ago, if you have oily nails, they'll just lift and it's just not worth it. But when you do it properly like that, you'll find your wraps will stay for 2 weeks without even trying. Okay, so my thumb wrap I know is this one here. So all you do is you cut out one half, which it can be approximate depending on the length of your nails, depends on how accurate you have to be. I usually have heaps of length, so because I've got fairly average sized nail beds. Then the other thing to try and do is to not touch the part of the glue part that's going to go on your nail. So I'm a bit lazy and I just lift off the top and I only ever hold it from the top because I know that's the bit that I'm going to file off. So there's a couple of ways you can apply your wraps. A lot of people, there's a hot method and a cold method. I like the cold method because when the wrap's cold, it's a little bit stiffer and it's easier to place. So I'm trying to do this with the camera, it's a bit hard. So basically I place it on my nail about where I think it should go, which I always on my thumb get confused and have to do a couple of times because I'm not the most coordinated person in the world. So as you can see, I've just literally pressed it down in the middle there, and then I turn on my trusty heater, which takes a couple of seconds to warm, and I just warm the wrap in front of the heater while it's on my nail, and then I just push it down as I go, and then I heat and push down, heat and push down. So you can just heat the wrap in front of the heater and then put it on your nail, which, you know, I've done that a few times and it's fine. I just find that I can be a bit more accurate to start with because I'm a little bit uncoordinated in lining up my wrap, and I end up with half of it on one side and half of it missing. So I just really do that, place it all down, and then once I'm confident that it's all been stuck down, I do one last heat, and then I pull it because that seals off the end. So so you get that sort of shrink wrappy sort of thing going on at the end. Now I'm going to turn the heater off each time because it's blowing in my face, but usually I have it to the side and I'll just leave it on. Now before I file, I usually trim down a little bit just so that you're not putting as much pressure on your nail when you're filing, because you don't have a big fucking great bit of plastic. But as you can see, it's very easy to trim down, and then you just file it going down so that it files off the excess. If you want, sometimes what I'll do is I'll leave this bit for a couple more nails and then I'll do it so it's cooled down, because again, if it's cool, it's a bit thicker and stiffer and it's easier to file off. So I usually find I have a little bit of straggly bits on the end which I trim with a pair of scissors, just to make sure that it's really smooth and tight. Oops. And then at the end what I'll do is I'll come around again and I'll just file everything neater, but basically that's just to get it out of the way so it's ready to go. So as you can see, that's pretty much one done. So then it's just a case of going through, and my next one, I know what size that one is. I mean, you can do it however you like. Some people do both the thumbs together and then both the point fingers. I do one hand and then the other because that's what I like to do. Okay, so then again it's about just placing it in the right position. Which also, when it's cold, if you do need to reposition it, it's not as big a deal because the glue hasn't melted onto your nail yet. So that's handy too. So now you can see mine goes right to the edge because these sizes I tend to fit quite snugly. But if you're unsure about the size, it's always good to just go slightly smaller rather than too big, because if they're too big and they push up against the sides, then they'll lift and they'll bug you for 2 weeks. So if they're slightly smaller, they go just like nail lacquer then, and they sit nicely. So as you can see, that one was nice and quick. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm just going to trim this down, and I'm going to go on to the next nail and I'll file it later. So I'm going to let it cool. Once I'm happy that that's all ready to go, I've just got a little crease there. And middle finger, 1, 2, 3. If you're not very coordinated with taking them off the back of the packet, you can lift them with your orange stick if you're worried about touching them, because you don't want to get the oils on the glue. But you do get a bit used to it once you've done it a few times. I think that's right. Seems a bit wide for some reason. See, some of them I'm too lazy to trim, so I just probably should trim this one, but I'll trim it after it's stuck, and then that way you can see how that's done as well. Okay, so this one I'm going to see how it just goes a bit over the edge there. I'm going to have to trim it down just to get it to stick properly, because you don't want it sitting on your skin. So on one side it's all fine. So if you need to trim a wrap, you can trim it beforehand while it's still on the plastic. If you've got a bit of a template, or if you know that a size always needs to be trimmed down to a certain size, that's really easy, because I don't do that. And I don't know what I'm doing wrong. Maybe I've got the wrong number. 2, 3, no, I've got the right number. Maybe my nails have changed size. See how there's just that little bit of a flap? I'll probably just... What I've done is I've just tucked it underneath rather than trim, so it's probably a bit... I may find I have to trim that in a couple of days because it lifts, but to be honest, they're pretty good. They'll last and look good. So this one's just a bit of a tight fit. Okay, just cut that. Oops. As you can see, it's just the same thing over and over, just with different size wraps. And the thing I love about these ones is they look just like nail polish as well, so they're really glossy shine and they last so long, which is awesome. They don't lift, but it's all about the prep. If I've done it a couple of times where I've been lazy with the prep or just not done it, and they don't last as long, in the same way that if you did the same with nail polish it wouldn't last so long because it's got too much other stuff underneath. So it's worth that little bit of extra effort to then have gorgeous nails for 2 weeks. So if you get a crease, you can usually heat the wrap and get rid of the crease fairly. And last one. Ha. Okay, so then we just got to file these down and we're done with the left hand. So now that these have cooled a little bit as well, the glue has stuck better, so filing it you can afford to be a bit rougher and just get the excess wrap off without worrying about tearing the wrap or anything like that. That's why I leave them to cool for a bit. And if you find anything hasn't stuck properly, just heat it and push it down again, which I just did because that one didn't stick properly. That was my weird one that I had to play around with, so. I'm not very good at getting the corners with the nail file, so I tend to just trim them with the scissors. You can also use nail clippers. You don't actually have to file. You can use nail clippers and clip off the ends. That usually seals it quite well as well. And it's a little bit neater. You don't have to go over with another file afterwards. It all depends on the individual. I usually find I'm not very accurate with nail clippers, so I tend to clip them wrong, which is why I don't do it, but some people are much more skilled with that than I am, so I just trim them off like that. So now I've got, that's my rough mani, and then I'll just tidy it up. So I've got the glass nail files that Jamberry do, which are awesome for just smoothing out things. So I usually will just, you know, finish it off with the glass nail files so that they're nice and smooth and all beautiful looking. Oops, I'm not very clever at doing that. Because the glass nail files are much finer, they tend to do that. I also sometimes, if I've got a bit of dust everywhere, I'll just use the alcohol swab to get rid of it. So that one's done, you can see it's nice and neat. Just needs a little bit of a... You can never use too much heat with these wraps, because they always like to smooth out and do things like that. This one's all nice and neat already. So as you can see, they start once they're neatened up and filed and everything, they look just like normal wraps, and they'll stay because they're nicely sealed.